Good evening, Mr. Bond fans, and welcome once again. Today I'm going to be talking about something a little different. I don't think I've ever actually talked about a live music show on this channel before, but recently I had a great opportunity to go and see a live James Bond music show, and that specifically being Cue the Music Show presents a James Bond concert spectacular. You've probably already heard of Cue the Music, as they're very popular amongst the Bond fandom, but just briefly, the band was formed in 2004 by Warren Ringham, a professional musician and die-hard Bond fan. And initially they largely performed at specific events, but moved on to theatres and concerts and now tour all over the UK and, well, the world. The first thing that struck me about the show was that how you could really tell that this is curated by people with an absolute love and passion for the music of 007, and evident in the fact that they don't just perform the title tracks from the movies, but also parts of the score. And for the West End show, they did the Into Miami track from Goldfinger, which is one of my favourite bits of Bond music ever, and I was just sat there thinking, there is probably no other place in the world I could go and hear this song performed by a live band, but here I am. I was also a particularly big fan of the pieces from the A View to a Kill score that they performed, as that's another of my favourite Bond soundtracks, but of course, the main title themes are there too, from Dr. No's James Bond theme to Spectre's Writings on the Wall. The only main series song missing from the set is Die Another Day, and I don't think that the exclusion of that song is going to put off anyone from wanting to see the concert. Though I actually would love to hear a big band rendition of Die Another Day sometime. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure. The singers are Kerry Schultz and Matt Walker, and I don't mind telling you that they were phenomenal. Matt Walker has just the right kind of crooning vocals for From Russia With Love, and Kerry Schultz just nailed everything. I mean, she did Adele and Sam Smith, and I may well prefer her version of Writings on the Wall to the original. I got goosebumps when I heard the band perform that track. It was just, I really had to stop myself from standing up and rocking out at a few points. I was getting so into it, well, especially with the likes of Living Daylights and The Man with the Golden Gun. Also, the band did something I never thought possible by way of earthly hands, but they made Another Way to Die sound good. I couldn't believe it, and oddly enough, that song and License to Kill were a couple of my real highlights, despite being some of my least favourite songs in the series. The arrangements and vocals were just so good. Again, Kerry Schultz just nailed it every time, and I think I counted about 4 rounds of spontaneous applause from the audience as she did License to Kill. Just every time she would hit the note, and everyone would just applaud her. She was absolutely fantastic. Outside of the experience of the show itself, I was really loving the opportunity to chat and connect with other Bond fans, especially people who I've spoken to online before, but never met in person, and I even met AJ Chowdhury, whose book Some Kind of Hero I reviewed on the channel a little while back. And there were so many Bond alumni there too, I couldn't believe it. I was sat directly behind Valerie Leon, the receptionist from the Spy Who Loved Me, and it took me a while to actually process that. It took, every fibre of my being not to just lean forward and whisper in her ear, "I have a message for you." But it's probably for the best that I didn't. That sort of behaviour would have almost certainly got me thrown out. The other highlight of the show is that it was compared by Caroline Bliss and Madeline Smith, who would come on stage every now and then and introduce the songs, give a bit of a little backstory when necessary, and also anecdotes from their time on the Bond sets, which was really cool. And then so after the show had finished, it was really great. I found it really great because I don't go to too many sort of James Bond fan events, and it was just kind of really nice and exciting to go to this, and you would see people from the various forums and stuff, people who I've never seen in real life, people who watch this channel, and that was really cool to actually meet and be able to chat with a load of people in the lobby afterwards. And the band came out after, and I got to meet Warren Ringham, and that was really cool, and Madeline Smith was there, and I was sort of I'm not much of an I don't go for actors' autographs and photos with actors, that kind of thing, meets. I'm much more likely to get more excited about directors, writers, producers, special effects people, the behind-the-scenes kind of stuff fascinates me more. That being said, Madeline Smith was there, signing autographs and having photos with people, and just looked like she was so nice and easy to walk up to, because I sort of a little nudge, like, oh, why don't you go have a photo with it and say some words to Madeline? And I was like, oh, nah, I don't want to do that. And then kind of like another one, I was like, oh, actually, yeah, you know what, this would be quite nice. I don't think I've ever met a Bond girl in person before. And so I went over, and she's just being absolutely delightful, charming, lovely, like really taking time to talk to everyone, and I'm like slowly getting more and more starstruck as the queue's going down and I'm waiting my turn and I've got my program. I'm gonna like ask her to sign the picture of her and all this, and then finally get to her and I'm like, oh, hello, how are you? And then she's like, right, signs the name, and you know, it was all very nice. And then as she's signing, there was just like a pause, and I couldn't think of what to say, and I was like, oh my god, everyone will have been talking to her about Bond tonight, what else can I talk to her about? And I just like blurted out like, I saw Theatre of Blood last week, and I mean, it's true, I have seen Theatre of Blood very recently, and that was the only thing that I could think of, and she was just like, oh yes, well, there's a lot of famous people in that, aren't there? And all I could say back was like, yes, and they're all killed in a horrible way, and that was just the conversation that I had with her, but she laughed, so that was quite nice. And then we had a few photos afterwards, and you know, I like just put my arm around her, and then she went in for like a full-on like two-armed hug, and I was just like, I'm amazed it doesn't show in the photos, or at least I don't think it shows in the photos, but I was just going redder and redder and like being like, oh, she's so nice. And she is, like, she's just this lovely, lovely lady, and as a compere, she was really funny and engaging, as was Caroline Bliss, but she wasn't there in the foyer at the time when I was going up to Madeline Smith, so I didn't get to meet her, but the experience of meeting Madeline Smith was just an absolute delight. If you go to one of these shows and she's there, then she's so approachable and sweet, and she was like literally there until the end, meeting people, having photos, signing, hugging. She's such a legend, like, really amazing experience meeting her. So that was my experience with the Q, the music show, and all of the various Bondian shenanigans that happened around it. I had such a terrific evening, and I say this quite a bit, but that night it just really like kind of overwhelmed me, just how fantastic the Bond fan community is. It's just a wonderful bunch of people, had some wonderful conversations, listened to some absolutely terrific music. And it was just a sensational night. I can't recommend it enough for anyone. Any Bond fan should go and see this show and support them, because they really put a lot of time and effort and really have created a very polished, very classy product. And you know, they deserve support by my reckoning. So, were any of you guys there that night in the West End, or have you seen Cue the Music or any other event? I'd love to know what your experiences has been, especially if there's a Madeline Smith encounter in there as well. So please do let me know in the comments section below, and as always, please feel free to follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and check out my Patreon page if you wish to support me on there. Until next time, Bond fans, so long for now.